Welcome everyone to the second episode of the podcast The Odyssey, where we explore the journey behind the journey. Today alongside with me we have Hugo Santo. Say hi everyone, Hugo.
Hi everyone, Hugo.
He comes with a tan because he's been away for the last how many days?
two weeks, something like that. Yeah,
That's nice.
5 days in Dubrovnik, 5 days in Montenegro. Can't really complain. Good weather all around.
There are worse places to be.
Definitely.
On this episode today, we will be discussing the blackout that happened in Portugal and in Spain as well, and the social media. So let's start by kickstarting the blackout. Where were you when the blackout happened?
In Dubrovnik.
Okay, and did you feel it?
Oh yes, I was terrified. Being in a sunny country where we had electricity, yeah, definitely terrified. As you can imagine, in the end, I knew 5 minutes after it happened because I was informed by text that something was happening. And when you're away from your family, from your loved ones, you kind of get a bit worried, yeah.
That's okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I can tell you from a live perspective. I was here and I was going to pick up my daughter from school, and while in the cars, I start seeing people like driving like crazy, sirens, firefighters. Everything was happening. I was like, what? Something serious is happening. Get home, and no electricity
Turned on the
whatsoever.
lights.
Yeah, trying to turn on lights, nothing, no electricity whatsoever. And I was like, maybe it's my house. So I get out, called my neighbor, and said, "Do you have electricity?" He said, "No, I don't. I don't have. I think it's something generic." And then you get like your friends that always know stuff ahead of you. So yeah, I was like, I got a text from a friend that said it's a thing like affecting many countries in Europe and like Spain and Portugal. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And then that's when you start like hearing stuff about the Russians and the paranoia starts to kick in.
Yeah, listen, I was about 4,000 kilometers away from here, and one of the first message I received being
Submarines
informed,
and
yeah,
stuff.
after being informed of the blackout, was a speculation. It was a Russian attack and a hybrid war attack, which would definitely be awesome. To be honest, if I wanted to attack any country, that's what I would try to do: sabotage the infrastructure
And to
and.
cut social media from people.
Yeah,
It's easier to drive people crazy
it's
nowadays.
not that hard because I can imagine perfectly everyone running around like chickens without their heads, while an invading army would come in.
It was so ridiculous. I was like, I was honestly, I was upset because then, well, we don't have any electricity at the house and we need to cook.
Complicated, yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna get out. We have an American barbecue, like a grill. So I needed to buy a gas tank. So I went out. Everything was closed, like a Walking Dead. No one was on the streets. Everything was closed, like the gas station. Everything was closed. I was like, okay. And then I start going from place to place to place, and I saw a line at like a local supermarket, like 100 people. A line of
Water
to buy everything.
everything.
People go insane. I don't get it.
Come on, at the speed the news travel in social media, just some random dudes behind a computer can pretty much devastate the public opinion. You just start saying, okay, this is war, this is an attack, this is Martians are invading. You never know, yeah. In the end, blame the aliens.
But don't you think like the news has a big part in it? The paranoia that we feed ourselves. I don't particularly watch any news, any type of news. I watch news like business related, but I try not to watch the news like on a daily basis because it's so negative, it's so bad. You actually, if you turn on a television and you put like CNN, or you see like a news channel, I don't know how, in other countries, but in Portugal, you get like such negativity like the entire day, and if you feel that, you start to get sick.
Yeah, to be honest, I've noticed it more in the US.
Okay.
All news and news channels thrive on fear.
Okay.
Okay, and I see it starting to happen in Portugal too.
The paranoia with the
It's
CMTV and
paranoia, fear-inducing news. Well, the news are a good way to. How can I say this
manipulate
without,
people.
yeah, without offending anyone? I would say people are mostly sheep
Okay.
and are guided by the shepherd.
Okay.
And the
Can be.
shepherds who run everything pretty much run the news too.
Okay.
So it's easier to create division between people when people fear
But
everything
but
around
but
them,
don't you think?
fear the difference, fear
But don't you think
the unknown itself.
education has a part of it as well? Because
I believe education has a part, even during our mandatory school years. The children should be taught to think by themselves and not to follow whoever randomly speaks louder than the next guy. So
okay,
I believe the true education starts at home. Okay,
it's also difficult because kids have personalities and
of
everything,
course they do, of course they
you can
do. But
raise two
you can
children.
always try to guide them,
Yeah.
to think for themselves. Okay, it's a problem. It's difficult to do, but in the end, I believe it's the
And
right thing.
it's a cultural thing as well. I think from country to country, the culture is different. People in Portugal, they behave quite differently than the guys. I see the news, people in the Ukraine, and if you watch a few clips, like there are drones dropping bombs and people are walking around like completely naturally and normally. And there's like it's weird to see because you actually see that
Yeah,
people are
but come
crossing
on,
the streets and
what's normal for you? They've been in war for almost 3 years, or maybe a bit more than
but
three
yeah, but
years already.
here you get a blackout and people go to the shopping
Of course,
and
because
they
nothing ever
pillage and
happens here. Do you remember 10 years ago when half of Portugal, due to a stork eating the? Sorry, this is a good one. Do you remember it from Coimbra below?
yeah.
There was no electricity for like 6 hours because a stork hit a high tension cable.
Yep.
This
Ah,
was
worst
more
things
than
to
10
be.
years ago. I believe it was more than 10 years ago.
Yeah,
But nobody panicked. I'm 45.
because the
I
news was
remember. I
it was
remember.
different back then.
Yeah,
Everything was different back then.
I remember perfectly being a kid, being without electricity for 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever, and nobody would panic.
That brings me like to a few videos I saw a few days after, and it was like it was nice montages people made. That one day without electricity, and then you would see videos of people sharing, like kids playing out in the streets,
Yeah,
people having chats, drinking coffee outside, and it was like, wow, what a
maybe,
trip! What a
maybe,
trip on
maybe we
time.
should get more blackouts. Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like deep inside, that's what I thought. Like it was like a real wish, because everything is so, and it's also funny because we spend our lives in businesses and everything. We've been the last 6 or 7 years. Everyone speaks about sustainability,
You want
and
to go
and
there?
then you have to do this and you have to do that, and it has to be sustainable.
Are
10
you sure
hours
you want to go there?
10 hours. No, it's I think we need to address it a little bit. 10 hours without electricity,
Pretty
nothing
sustainable, yeah.
nothing works. So where's the sustainability in that? It's I think we live in such a hypocritical world, and the word itself doesn't mean anything. I can tell you, I can repeat so many times a lie, it becomes a truth.
Nowadays, yes.
And I'm looking at a wall, it's white, and I tell you it's yellow, and I tell you so many times it's yellow, you're gonna start believing it's yellow.
Eventually, people start believing it's
Everything
yellow.
is
Yeah.
upside down. It's quite astonishing. So just to see people like acting normally, like being outside, playing with each other, having fun, drinking coffee, kids playing football. You don't see kids in the streets anymore.
Not anymore. No, you definitely don't. I think the human touch has been a bit lost over the last few years, due to social media, due to children having access to computers, to information, to YouTube, to TikTok. And
Don't tell me that word. It gives me the
yeah,
chills.
it gives me the chills. And
Really,
you
like
know, you know,
whenever people say TikTok, you lose me. I'm done. I'm done. Just
I don't have any social media except for LinkedIn.
that's good.
There's a reason behind it. Yeah.
Me too. Me
There's a
too.
reason behind it. I really don't enjoy exposing my life, or
It
and
doesn't. If you think that true, that brings us to the next topic we will discuss because both of them are connected. If you think that true, it really makes no sense. What's the real purpose of people like sharing their daily lives on social media?
so I haven't been using social media since 2014. I remember perfectly the last post I did. It was on Facebook, with a picture.
Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook with a picture of
High five.
Marquês de Pombal. Benfica had just won the
Ah,
34th championship.
fingers crossed for tomorrow.
Fingers crossed for tomorrow, of course. And I wrote en route to the 35th.
Okay.
That was my last post on Facebook.
Oh, you still remember it.
Yeah, I was very happy that Benfica won again. So
But yeah, I have like I said, I have a really strong opinion about social media. I think whenever you see a couple or a perfect life or a family, the more you see them online, I think the more you see them, it's the exact opposite amount of how happy they are really not. Because if you're really enjoying something, I remember going to concerts, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and I was me there and then like 40 or 50,000 people more, and everyone was enjoying the concert.
yeah, not filming the concert.
Now
Or
whenever I have to go to a concert, I have to choose really carefully my spot, because otherwise you're going to end up with someone screaming in front of you with a phone
yeah,
or with a Samsung Galaxy, like
I had an
10 inches
altercation.
screen,
I
and you
had,
cannot see any shit in front of you.
yeah, you
It's like,
cannot see anything at all because people prefer to have their
but why do
phones
you
up.
record a moment when you can actually live it?
That's it. That's it.
That's I don't get it. You're with someone else and you're having a dinner with your wife or you're having dinner with a friend, and you can actually enjoy the meal or everything. Don't start eat because I need to take a picture of the meal.
Yeah, to post it online.
It's like, okay, we have to put on a chronometer when we can start eat, and now we can talk, we can eat.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
I actually lost a friend because of a Facebook post.
Okay.
Yeah, she was one of those girls that every meal had to be posted online, and I
Jesus
did one
Christ.
of those Hugo comments where I wrote, "Yeah, nice meal. Are you going to show it after it passes the other end?" So she unfriended me and never spoke to me again.
It makes sense. It's quite a dramatic comment, but
It's a dramatic comment, but you get fed up with it. So come on, yeah, nice meal, okay, good for you. Then at dinner, nice meal, good for you.
yeah, and people
Show something
have,
different.
and I do believe in evil eye. People have envy. They have envy for everything. They see someone happy in their lives, and people have a natural envy. If you see someone is doing better or doing well, it's natural for people to have envy over stuff. So why would you post everything you're trying to accomplish or anything you're trying to do online? Why would you do that?
I believe there's something wrong within these people, the people that do it. The real approval doesn't come from outside. Yeah, the real approval comes from within you. You under,
But we are more void than ever. We never spoke so much about tolerance, and we never been
intolerant.
so intolerant. We never spoke so much about acceptance, and then we don't have to accept. We are forced to
We are
accept.
forced to accept, which is a
So
dictatorship on its own, isn't it?
exactly, and you have to be very careful with everything you say because
Oh yes,
it,
I'm
it gets
definitely
out of
very
hand
careful.
like completely. So it's really like it doesn't make any sense. If we're living upside down, it's like in the Stranger Things. We live in the upside world.
Well, to be honest,
Except we don't have 11 to come and fix shit.
yeah, but honestly, I think I'd rather live with the monsters than with some of the people in real life. Yeah, at least you understand perfectly the monster's purpose. Yeah,
you know what you get. You know that
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
like having people disguised. You know, but I think social media have such a really bad impact on everyone. You know, I was really happy. I could on the blackout. I could spend like 8 hours not looking at my phone because it was not working. So I could actually sit down on my couch, drink coffee, enjoy it, like just relaxing. Otherwise, because your phone,
May I ask you a question?
you can.
How did you get your coffee without electricity?
I believe it or not, I drink it bland. You know, pot because I have hot water at my home because I
Oh
have.
yeah, you do. You do have that
So I
hot water system. Yeah.
just made it basic. Basic coffee was not super nice, but I just
It
made
was
it.
coffee. Come
It
on.
was coffee. Yeah, I need to get coffee.
Coffee is like busy. Is like it's and sex. Yeah. Even when it's bad, it's good.
It depends. It depends.
On
It
the coffee,
depends.
of course.
Yeah, it depends. But yeah, it was like I could actually relax. Nowadays, it's like addictive. You know, and whenever you go to a meeting, like a business meeting or a customer meeting, what's the first thing people put in front of you?
Coffee or
No,
water.
a phone. They put their phones in
Ah,
front of
okay.
you
Yes. The first thing they will put on the table.
on
Yeah.
the table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
what's
will
the
pick
first
up their
thing?
phone.
They put their phone. So
And most of the times, it's not even with the screen turned to below. It's just okay, so I can
like,
see my notifications, and don't care about you in the
and
slightest.
how does that make you feel exactly? It's
It
like
makes me feel like people have different priorities than being in a meeting where we need to discuss stuff.
exactly,
Yeah,
and that happens anywhere. That happens anywhere, and it's becoming like addictive for everyone. You know, people
it's
go
not becoming. It's really addictive. This even the social media you scroll through. It's designed for your preferences. So if you lean if your political inclinations are to the right, you'll get more and more and more.
algorithms, right?
Yeah, the algorithms exactly.
Even on the radio, I was hearing the radio the other day, and the guy was like, on the radios, he was talking about his morning routine. So he said, I wake up and I scroll the news. And I was like, you scroll the news? I was like, it took me like 5 minutes to understand what he was saying. So the news for him was Instagram and the news and the scrolling was seeing each other's lives.
Yeah, the
So the first
news.
thing he does when he wakes up, picks up his phone and scrolls the news.
Nice, nice. And then he goes to the bathroom and does his daily routine. Well, some people just don't have their priorities straight, do they? But as I was saying before, the algorithm will always accompany your leanings. So you start seeing right-leaning posts. In 1 or 2 weeks, you'll to start seeing far-right leaning posts, and you get a sort of feedback from. Well, it's not a correct feedback because it's tailored to you, but it will keep you in a loop of.
I forgot to inform people that Hugo is an internet whiz and
No, I'm not. Come on. I just know how stuff works. I used to work in IT. I worked in IT before joining
yeah.
Invictus for like 22 years or something like that. So yeah, it kind of sticks with you. But at the end of the day, social media is business. It's what people tend to forget. You think that you use a service for free? You don't. You are the product. Your preferences, your yeah.
But don't you think we should do like something like Australia is doing, and like other countries are doing, like blocking some like specific social medias?
Well, I believe it will be very hard to enforce. Okay,
Really?
because you can block whatever you want, but the end user in the end will
No, but I would say like
just
block, but
install a VPN on their
no,
phone on their
that's not.
computer and will bypass any any IP
No, that's not
blockage they
not,
may
not,
have.
not, not, not what I'm saying. But like in terms of a country, for them,
Regulation,
yeah,
yeah, definitely. I'm not saying the content should be regulated, but the access to the content should follow some criteria. Besides, I agree, and I'm over 18. If you
really basic.
pretty basic, yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Because in the end, it's very difficult to enforce any kind of regulation on the internet. Because for any wall, any 10-foot wall they build, a 12-foot ladder will come and help surpass the wall. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's a cybersecurity thing nowadays, isn't it?
It's always been
Like people don't have wallets, they don't have money, they have crypto coins or whatever.
yeah. It's
So
to be honest, it's always been an issue, and the biggest vulnerability isn't the system itself; it's the people that use the system. So I can remember Mr. Mitnick, one of the best known hackers and one of the first to. He didn't do what he did by being a great hacker, a great programmer. He was indeed, but he did it mostly by social engineering.
okay.
He would pretend to be an IT support for a company,
And then
call the guy he knew had access,
use the
and
naivety of the
hey,
people.
I need your password. I need your password. You have a problem in the
People will
system.
be naive and do it.
Yeah, we are talking about the 80s, of course.
Okay.
But yeah, people would just give him their password and come on.
It's good that it's good that you mentioned that because yesterday we got like 3 calls in the morning from 3 different people, 2 ladies and one older guy during the morning, and I was like, "Are you guys going to deliver me my parrot or whatever?" The conversation was kind of weird. It's like first call was like, "What parrot?" You know, I was like, "What?" And then I kind of hang up the call because I was like, if I thought it was someone messing. Second call is like, "Okay, can you tell me more?" No, because I was trying to adopt a parrot and you guys are supposed to transport it. I was like, what? So I got the third call and the man was much more like specific on so there's a current ad on Facebook of a parrot called like a Latin name, I don't even know the name, for adoption. And people
Okay.
like message that ad, and then the person behind the ad says, you can come pick it up. The parrot is available. Blah blah blah. And then somehow, in between that conversation, they put on that they have a company that transports pets. So they are using our logo, misusing our logo, and like misusing our email as well. So
Our email.
yeah.
Do they have access to our email?
No, they made it like Portugal pet relocation at gmail.com.
Oh, come on.
So the man sent me the conversation. It was like back and forth. Like I'm at the pet shipper, and then they send a picture of a warehouse, like horrible, like completely fake. And then the parrot, it becomes like 10 different colors, like from yellow to gray to green to whatever.
Nice.
And but the 2 ladies,
If I quite remember, parrots are not.
it's very difficult to
It
transport
is,
them.
isn't it?
Yeah. But the funny thing is that the first 2 ladies, they actually paid. They got
Well,
scammed.
that's not so funny
They
for
got-
them, yeah.
They got scammed. So, and the third man, it was like he understood from the images that, okay, this is fake, this is a scam, so I'm gonna call these guys. So he called it up and calls like, "Are you guys doing the transport of a parrot to whatever CDIM?" No, we have no information of any parrots, and we don't ask for money online, especially for links, because it was like on a recharge something link, and I was like, okay, can you send me the info? So he sent me the info, send me the video. I have the video. I would love to put it for you guys to see it. I'll have to ask Mateus if we can do it,
should be a fun one.
and let me thank Mateus again for helping producing the podcast. And like if you see the conversation is like super weird. It seems like a bot speaking. Like, are you doing the transfer? And the man says no, and said, "Please do the transfer, please. I'm here at the transfer." So it becomes like a manic conversation.
They create a sense of urgency.
Yes.
I have to
So
do it
the only
now.
sense of urgency is it took me like I spent 3 hours at the police station making a report.
And you had to pay for it.
And
Probably.
I didn't pay for it. I pay it with time. So yeah, I spent 3 hours making. So just a heads up, we do transport pets worldwide and wherever you need them, but we don't ask money for people online, and we don't send you links to pay money, and we don't scam people. So be very careful and thoughtful before making any payment or anything online. Take the time to read it and be careful. Okay.
And
don't fall for these scams. Don't feed these people because they need to go out and work.
One quick check that you can do: look at the email address. If it's an email address like Portugal Pet Relocation at gmail.com, real companies won't use
They
an
copied our
address like
logo
that.
as well.
Yeah.
But the conversation doesn't make any sense. If you start to read it and you read it carefully, the Portuguese written, it doesn't make any sense.
Bad Portuguese,
Really
probably
bad.
from a Google translator or something
Yeah,
like that.
it's
no?
really weird, really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, one other thing
And it
you
started
can.
to be 100 euros, huh? The transport was 100 euros, and then it went to 50 euros, and then it was like, if you pay me 10,
It's good.
it's good to go.
I'll even roast a parrot for you.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is, and yeah, do try and avoid to be scammed, because in the end, we will not be able to help you at all.
Yeah. But I did my part. I spent like 3 hours at the police station, and I was like, I made the report. They take it out, and yeah,
And be advised, all our email addresses regarding
our
the
brand registered.
yeah, will end at portugalpetrelocation.com, not at gmail.com, not at hotmail.com.
It
So
was. I felt bad for the two ladies, but for the third guy, I was just laughing. Like it was fun. It was quite funny,
I
because the
bet the
video
people
itself,
that
it was
paid,
like,
I bet that the people that paid have a different opinion than you do.
yeah,
But
for sure. Yeah, I felt really bad for them. I couldn't get a hold of them back because they called like from encrypted, not encrypted phone, but
yeah,
unknown user.
unknown number. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we have nowadays with social media. It's really bad on so many aspects. It's difficult for you to like to.
The only good thing I see with it is that you indeed can connect. Sometimes can connect with people that you have lost track of.
But do you really connect with them?
Well, you
Or
know
you
of
follow
them.
them?
You
Because it's
know
different.
of them. Yeah, they're still alive. Yeah, they're living in
Yeah, but is that a connection?
bumfuck Idaho or something like that. So yeah, that's what you get. Eventually, if they come to Portugal or you go to Idaho and visit a small town called Bumfuck, you can see your friends. But barring that, I don't really see the point of social media.
I quit social media like 2 years ago, 1 year ago, I don't even know, because someone was using my social media
A year and a half, something like that. I
yeah,
remember. I remember that.
like it was texting, sending messages
On
on,
your
on my
behalf.
behalf, asking stuff, and then doing a lot of bad stuff. So I really quit, and it was like I felt free from that moment on.
I know the feeling. For a lot longer than you.
We do use it for work, in terms of for business, it's important, but it depends on how you use it. It depends on the kind of use and you give it. How do you educate your children on that?
It's very difficult because even if you do educate them,
You want to give your phone to you want to give a smartphone to a kid
I don't. My kids, well, my
for the
eldest,
cyberbullying and stuff?
my eldest has a smartphone.
Yeah, but your eldest is
but
like
she's
18.
17, so yeah.
17, yeah.
But my youngest doesn't have a cell phone.
But what happens when
I won't
everyone?
be able to, not be able. I wouldn't be true to myself if I gave him a cell phone.
But what happens when he goes to class and everyone, like there are 20 kids?
It already happens. A lot of kids in his classroom have,
But do you
have
think that's
mobile
normal?
phones.
I remember.
No, I don't. But I believe the parents don't have that much knowledge or criteria about the way they're raising
or
their children.
patience.
It's easier just to stick them in front of
Screen.
of a TV or a tablet or a phone and let them be.
I remember when I got my first phone. It was a Nokia 3310.
I had an Ericsson GA628.
Wow, that was a big one.
It was a big one, and had an antenna too.
I remember I spent like 6 weeks working, like nonstop, just to make the money for the phone. And then we went to the flea market in Lisbon to get a phone. And I was like super happy because it had like polyphonic tones, but it didn't do anything. And you could play
You
Snake.
could play Snake on it.
Yeah, you could play Snake. You could like, wow, this was
And a
wonderful.
3110, you could use it for demolition and stuff like that because the phone never breaks.
That stuff. I don't know. But I remember I was like, wow, super happy. And now you see a kid, and I was 18. And now you see a kid, and he's like 7, and he has an iPhone
Yeah.
Pro Max, and he has a bracelet, and he has a Apple Watch, and monitor, and now you have the rings that monitor your sleep, and
You have
and if-
rings to monitor the sleep now.
yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Called
Hopefully not a
you
clock
get
ring.
bombarded with those
Fitbits. Yeah.
Fitbits. Yeah, I was like, what? People, and usually people that use Fitbits, they're not fit. So
True. That's true.
So
That's
you
true.
buy one to track your steps, and you don't go to steps. So
If you don't do any sports at all, maybe you don't need a Fitbit. But it looks cool, yeah.
It's
And
that's
it pairs with your iPhone and your AirPods and well,
I don't get the Apple Watch as well, but I'm not
not
gonna
good.
go
No, that's
in
a
that
slippery
topic
slope.
as well. We don't even want to get canceled by the brand. And I have an iPhone as
We're
well.
already
So.
pushing the line, probably.
But yeah, you know what I did after that blackout? I thought, well, I need to organize my ideas. I need to have some stuff like a kit. So I bought a radio with batteries,
Nice.
and I got a gas tank, so I can cook. Did you make any changes in your house?
I didn't suffer any blackout, my friend. I was in Croatia at the time, so
Oh, that's
no. But it's a thing that I've been thinking about, but for lots of years. To be honest, it wasn't even because of blackouts. It was because of earthquakes that I thought, okay, maybe it would be a good idea to have a kit, a few cans of tuna, a small gas tank, water, medicine. Yeah, you know the drill.
the Walking Dead kit.
Yeah, the Walking Dead kit. Yeah, a machete. If you can get your
Rick
hands on.
Grimes.
Yeah, if you can get your hands on a Magnum 44, it's also good for zombies. Unfortunately, in Portugal, we do have an issue with getting firearms.
The only
so-
Magnum you can get is an ice cream,
yeah. Which it's quite a nice one.
which is a nice one. Yeah,
yeah,
especially in the
double
summer.
caramel. I like it a
Yeah,
lot.
in the
yeah.
summer they always like throw the new ones.
Yeah, every year, new Magnum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I like everyone, but yeah.
As a personal defense weapon, I wouldn't. Well, if they're very frozen, you can throw it at someone's head. But bearing that,
So you didn't make any changes at all. You kept everything the same.
no, I'm going to let this prepper kit madness pass by, and then I'll do my own kit.
Okay. Oh, I bought a few things. I didn't buy too much. I bought it like
Yeah, you should get like food for 3 days or something like that.
I have a lot of stuff. I had a lot of stuff at the house, and I have solar panels. So my house is quite sustainable for real. I don't have any gas. I have like the water is heated with the solar panel. But I bought a few things, and a Swiss knife.
Okay.
Swiss knife is always nice, and that radio. And
And
it's
the
a solar panel radio. You can charge your phone with it. So it's a lot of stuff.
Solar panel radio. You
Yeah,
should
sold
have
on it.
gotten, nah,
Sold on Amazon, man.
man. What if there's a nuclear attack and we get like a nuclear winter? Oh, are you going? Are you going
You're
to,
good to
church?
you're good to work in the CMTV, man. You're
Man, of course. I can paint you a
feeding
really
more
bad
paranoia to the
picture.
people. You know, I'm the worst guy when it comes to paranoia. You know, I'm the worst people. You know, my wife, she was upset with me because she was like, Fabio, you need to go out and buy gas. And I said, listen, the grill still has gas. No, but you need to go because if it's ran out, then you cannot cook. If it runs out, I'll make a fire and cook.
I'll burn
But
something.
and then she said, but if it's windy, then if it's windy, I'll cover the wind and make the fire. But in the end, she was like, because I was like, no paranoia.
So in the end,
whatsoever.
you went to get gas just.
I tried, you know, driving like a fool in the main of traffic, and I couldn't get gas.
Yeah,
And I said, listen, at the gas station, there's gas. In the eventual case, we need to get the gas. I'll come up with an idea to get the gas. But trust me, we don't need to get that point, you know.
well, you know, if
Usually, I'm the calm guy from the group. Usually, and you know me, you know I'm not calm whatsoever.
nope.
But when it comes to that, I was like, okay, let's see how it goes because people react so.
Impulsively, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna get a kit. I have
Do
to
you
get a
remember-
survival kit.
Do you remember the COVID-19 toilet paper wars in the US?
Oh Jesus Christ! Don't get me started.
So it's like a bad Game of Thrones episode, yeah.
I made myself a ladder just to come to work. Like it's my presence at the company. It's like priceless. I need to be there. So whenever I drove to work, there was like a police stop. It was like, why are you driving outside? I need to get to work. My boss is really difficult, so I need to get to work.
I even have a document signed by my boss saying I am needed at the office. So
Yeah, remember those? But it was
Yeah, I do.
quiet back then. You know, we could have learned. I think
you
what
know
we've-
how many times I've been stopped by the police while coming on my way to Invictus doing
every day.
not once.
Really?
Not
I was
once.
stopped every day. I was stopped every day. But you know, the sad thing about that is that we could have learned something from that. Because if you remember that time, it was people were more quiet, everything was cleaner, and
Even the quality of the air was way better than now.
yeah,
Well,
and yeah,
it was it
and you
was
had like the smart work. That's how they call
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
People
yeah.
were working from homes. Now that everything is canceling that, you see,
Yeah, but to be honest, I still believe in the hybrid system where
you
you.
do.
Yeah, I do, because in the end, good workers will work well in under any condition.
That's the difficult part.
Okay, so to be honest, I believe that if we needed to go full remote tomorrow, we could go full remote tomorrow.
Yeah,
We still have the infrastructure for that.
yeah.
As you well know, we could pretty much go full remote, and
Oh, we've been through a lot lately.
we've been through a
COVID,
lot, definitely.
blackouts,
But in the
wars.
end, you need to socialize, you know. So if you keep working from home, not going out or going out to do your shopping once in a while, you go for a drink with your friends. To be honest, I think you lose the quality of life you gain by staying at home.
Yeah, but that's exactly the whole topic we've been discussing. You know, people don't enjoy that anymore. Not that many people enjoy that. You know, you go for lunch.
Well, the new generations prefer
The
to work
Gen Z,
remotely. No,
the Gen Z.
I'm still a millennial, so yeah.
Me too. Born in 1988.
Yeah, 19,
Limited edition.
1980 for me. Thank you for reminding me.
It was good old
I am
days.
doing a impolite gesture below the tabletop, so just so you guys know on the other side, yeah,
But I think
I'm flipping the bird.
we were happy back then. You know, I
Yeah,
remember
it was
we would
different.
go out on the streets, and the streets were packed with people. You know, that noise was nice. People drinking coffee outside,
Kids
kids playing
screaming,
football.
while playing football and random games.
No, you don't have. You don't even have football fields anymore. You have paddle fields.
I still remember the playing soccer and football in my street, and the garages were the goals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
Wow.
owners didn't
Those.
find it as much fun as we did, but
But it was fun back then.
it was good fun.
Like when you push the ball against
You lived,
your
yeah.
granddaughter. Your
You
granddaughter,
lived.
no, your grandmama.
I remember scraping my knees and putting dirt on them so it would stop the bleeding, so I could keep
Yeah.
on going. Yeah, we were a different
But I
breed. Yeah.
think as a parents, you should bring that back. As parents and as for the future generations, don't you think we should bring that back?
We were talking about fear mongering in the news when we started this episode, and I believe one of the reasons, not the only one, but one of the reasons that we don't allow our kids and we don't see kids playing in the street that much anymore. It's pretty much because of fear mongering. Because you hear a lot about pedophilia from
You know,
all
it's
dangers
really cool.
involved.
Okay.
The one of the main things for me is you have way more vehicles nowadays that you had back when we were kids.
Yeah.
It was easier to play back then.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wouldn't. I remember back then I was walking around everywhere by myself,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't let my daughter do that at all nowadays.
Do you think
But
it's more dangerous now?
I think it's more dangerous now. I think it's more talked about. Yeah, I think it's more dangerous
I
now.
don't know if it's more dangerous now or the perception of danger is different.
I think the perception is different, and I think in certain areas and in certain specific topics, it's more dangerous now than back then. Because back then it was like more quiet. Now it's everything is hectic. You know, Lisbon back then had way less people than now,
Yeah.
and
Less
even
cars. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you know, and it's good that you mentioned that topic as well. Don't you think it's really weird for a parent to be posting their children online all the time?
I believe most parents do it without really thinking of the level of
Do you think
exposure.
that? I don't
I
think so.
believe they don't have the conscience that lots of people can see their
I don't think they care.
those pictures.
I don't think
I
they care.
believe they would care if they
No.
knew the dangers involved.
It's impossible they don't know the. You know, you go to the
It's not
cinema
impossible.
nowadays.
It's,
No,
come on, there are people falling for
no,
Portugal
no,
pet
no, no.
relocation
Especially,
at gmail.com. So yeah,
let's speak about influencers. You know, influencers spend their lives making money out of publicity and marketing online. Okay, so they do know a lot of stuff about marketing and publicity and
course.
exposure. And nowadays, even when you go to the cinema, you go see a movie, the first like clip you get is like, "Don't post children online. this is what happens when you post children online and you get a face, and there's an AI showing that you use that face for to multiply, and they make it to dark web, pedophilia, so many websites, so many bad things. So they do know, but I think they don't care because they want to exploit their children because they want to make money.
Well,
That's what I think.
you're talking about. I was replying to your question based on a regular run of the mill couple that would post pictures
But
of their
even
children
then, Hugo,
online.
even then, it doesn't make any
If you're talking
sense.
about influencers posting their children, and well, that's all
And
different.
influencers, you don't have to be an influencer. And even like normal, regular post. Why would you post your children like online?
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
exactly. What's the point? You know. But we've got so out of control when it comes to technology.
I had a huge fight with my mother a couple of years ago because I came to know that she posted a picture of me with my eldest on her Facebook. You can
Old people always do that.
you can imagine how well it went down, can't you? The picture is not it's not online anymore, as you can
And your mom
imagine.
has blocked you on Facebook for sure.
I don't know. I
But
don't.
but you can respect that because
No, I
older
can't.
people, no, older people, you have to at least give them a break because older people, like when it comes to social media, like I'm lucky my grandmother, she doesn't have any social media because otherwise she would be gossiping everything that happens on 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 our family.
It should be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun, yeah, you know. But
Maybe she would post pictures of you taking a bath when you were a baby or something
most
like that.
definitely, or running naked in the street, most definitely. Yeah, but you know, it
Is
was
that something you still do nowadays?
no, I haven't.
You get arrested now, yeah.
Or you get arrested, or you get I don't know what you get, but no, we don't do that. But yeah, I think like as parents and as you know to basically recap what
You have
we've
the
been saying.
responsibility to
Yeah,
protect your children.
to one another, and not only that to your children, to one another. And I think we should like as a generation, not only us, the millennials, the Gen Zs, or whatever you want to call them, we should like really stop ourselves and like try to understand where are we going with this manic behavior. Like everyone is on TikTok dancing around, and do everyone is dancing like this and like that. And like they're all the same.
Eh,
Have you tried? Like I remember I would tell this to my wife.
you remember
You know,
the Harlem Shake or whatever it
oh
was called?
Jesus Christ! You know, I remember telling this to my wife. Anna, go online, make a search on Instagram, like for any place, and when you search for a place, you get pictures of people that were in that place.
Yeah.
You do it at home, do it in your home, and I invite you guys to do it, and you will see pictures of people posing exactly the same, all different kinds of people posing exactly the same, with not much stuff on. I can say that. So we are all alike. You know, people should start to think by themselves. You know, try to be different. Try to be like to work on themselves. Not only like follow everyone. Like, why would
That
you follow?
requires work. It's easier to follow the
But why?
ship than to go your own way. Yeah? Why? Human condition, my friend.
I don't agree with that. You
But
know,
you want a good one too. Go on your on your phone and browse for some watch that you like. In less than 24 hours, most of the commercials you will see online will be about
about the watch.
watches. Yeah.
Okay. It's like the remarketing stuff.
It's what cookies are used for. Now, when you agree to the terms and
Not
conditions,
only to eat.
not only to eat, no. Well,
Don't get me
I
started with
can
the pop
introduce you
three.
to the Cookie Monster.
No, please no.
But the thing is that everything you browse is accounted for and exploited.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not a random thing that
Happens.
happens.
Okay. It's the
Even,
algorithms and stuff.
for example, you have an iPhone, yeah. You have the assistant activated.
No.
No, okay, but
Does it have an assistant?
it does.
Oh, I had no idea.
If you have this, but this works obviously both on iPhones or Androids. The microphone is always in an active state. Okay, so it captures what. So you can say, "Okay, Google" or Alexa or whatever. So
Who's
if
Alexa?
yeah, For example, if you have Alexa at home, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. You know, Alexa is constantly listening to everything that's going on inside your house.
No, because I turn it off.
You think you turn it off. You never do. You never do. What's the word for calling Alexa up? Do
Alexa?
Alexa this, Alexa that. Yeah. You do understand that for Alexa to hear you, she must have the microphone.
Okay.
So the microphone is always in an active state. If you talk about going on a trip, if you talk about watches, if you talk about whatever the hell you,
I'm glad we don't talk at home because we're always on our phones.
or you just don't like each other, just live under the same roof.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, go your own way. No, but really, the publicity after a while will be pretty much the things you talk about when you're near Alexa, when you're near your phone, and as you well know, people usually don't leave their phones away from them, so you
I
are
wish I could.
constantly monitored.
I wish I could divorce my phone, but that's just me.
Yeah, if you hadn't married your phone, yeah.
Yeah, I would divorce it. I would divorce it right away.
Well,
And especially to the guy who invented WhatsApp.
yeah, WhatsApp is
I
It's a
remember I
good
received letters.
yeah. You still remember receiving
I
letters?
remember.
Yeah.
I still have some.
You know what? When I was in Rome, I did one thing.
Ate pizza
Of course.
near the Colosseum.
No, and pasta too. Yeah. Well, despite all amazing food in Rome, I went to the post office and sent postcards to Portugal.
Nice. You can still do that?
You can still do that. It's still a thing
And how come I didn't receive a postcard?
because I didn't send that many. To be honest.
You're caught, man. You're caught.
Now you wanna know the real answer to that because I couldn't remember your fucking address.
Yeah, always coming up. You know, Hugo. You know, you're gonna start to
I
know.
thought about sending to Invictus. Then you get a postcard, and the other people don't get postcards, and
Yeah.
it would be awkward. Yeah,
Not everyone is special.
you're real special, man.
Yeah, you have to believe you're special, even if
Of
you're
course, of course.
not. Even if you're not. So I think we can wrap up the episode, but and leave the question out to the public. It's really like, what are we doing with our lives and with our families and with all the paranoia? I think that's a good question we should all ask ourselves. And
Yeah, if we don't get cancelled, that would be a good question. You know, we've been through some topics that are quite divisive. Yeah.
but that's okay, you know. Not everyone has to think of it. I think that's the beauty of life. You know, the beauty of life is it's for you to enjoy pizza while I enjoy pasta.
Yeah.
You know, it's
course.
that's the funny
We
thing.
are all allowed our different opinions.
Exactly.
As much as the
Tolerance. That's a real tolerance. We should like.
yeah, that's the real tolerance.
Yeah.
But the tolerance we get fed nowadays, it's forcing you to be tolerant.
Yeah, that's our.
So it's intolerant tolerance, isn't it?
Yeah.
You either accept something you don't agree with, or you accept something you don't agree with.
Or you're like offending.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's difficult, especially for us, and I think men will relate to this. It's difficult to be a man nowadays.
Yeah.
It's difficult. You know, you never know what you say. You should like always be careful with what you do. But that's a topic for another episode.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for listening, and again,
You can take me for my presence too.
thank Hugo for
You're welcome.
for being on the show today, and thank Mateus for helping out as always. And yeah, the final question is really that: where are we going as a generation? Where are we going as a country? And where are we going as people? I think we should all.
If you want to put it a bit more broadly, where are we going as a species?
Yeah, that's I think too. That's a good question.
Okay, I can tell it right now to extinction if we keep on the same track. But that would be
Hopefully not.
That would be a topic for another episode, I guess.
So thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode coming up soon. Thank you guys.